Hi and welcome back. So a new study out of the University of Denmark has shown a clear link between a specific exercise, the health of our motor neurons, our muscles and our nervous system. Enough waffling off me, let's jump into the presentation, see what this new study out of the University of Denmark has got to offer and whether or not you fall into the at-risk category. This is a review of a study that was penned by David Neal, which was conducted at the Copenhagen University in Denmark and published in the American Journal of Psychology. The study looked into exercise and an improvement in the way our brain signals our nervous system and our muscles to operate in the way that we actually want them to. And there are links in the description below to the study and the articles I used to put this presentation together. New research into weightlifting has revealed two main insights: that the practice is able to strengthen the connections between our nerves and our muscles, and that this strengthening can still happen in the later years of our lives. We actually start losing muscle mass before the age of 40, caused in part by a reduction in muscle fibers that happens as the motor neurons start to break down. Motor neurons are cells in our brains and our spinal cords that tell our bodies to move. This decline cannot be stopped, but this new study shows it can be slowed down, and slowed down significantly. According to the study's results, weight training makes the connections between nerves and muscles even stronger, protecting the motor neurons in the spinal cord. These are essential for a well-functioning body. Exercise physiologist Kasper Sondenbro, PhD, from the Institute of Sports Medicine at Copenhagen University in Denmark said, previously researchers have been unable to prove that weight training can strengthen the connections between the motor neurons and the muscles. Our study is the first to present findings suggesting that this is indeed the case. As I did, you may ask, why hasn't this been attempted before? In the main, it's because of the challenges inherent in sampling enough tissue at locations where muscle and nerve cells connect so that meaningful measurements can actually be made. To overcome this, the researchers instead look for biomarkers related to the stability of the junctions between neurons and muscles in the biopsy samples of the participants. Sticking with our participants, let's take a more detailed look at the cohort. The research involved 38 healthy, elderly men with an average age of 72. They were asked to undertake a 16-week course of fairly intensive weightlifting training that involved leg presses, leg extensions, leg curls, and 2 upper arm exercises. Another group of 20 healthy, elderly men, again with an average age of 72, did no weight training and were used as a control comparison group. So how often did this cohort actually train? Well, training sessions happened 3 times a week, and after 2 months, which was halfway through the experiment, the differences in muscle size and fitness could already be seen. Researchers collected muscle biopsies and found detectable changes in the biomarkers. From twinges in the back to pain in the knees, the indication is that weight training can slow down some of the breakdown between our muscles and our nervous system without actually reversing it. The researchers suggest that starting earlier in life can build up reserves that the body can then fall back on when it's needed. Dr. Sodenbrow from the Copenhagen University said, the study shows that even though you begin late in life, you can still make a difference. Of course, the sooner you start, the better, but it is never too late. Even if you are 65 or 70 years old, your body can still benefit from heavyweight training. Now, although this study was done in men, I'm sure this applies to women too. For example, older women are more prone to osteoporosis, and they will benefit from resistance training just as much as the men do. As many populations around the world continue to live longer and longer, the issue of preserving a good quality of life into our twilight years becomes more and more important, and that includes keeping muscles working as well and as effectively as possible. Living longer, although a worthy aspiration, has to play second fiddle to living a healthier life. extended health span alongside extended lifespan should be the goal for everyone. While there are certain biological processes that cannot be fully stopped as the years go by, research has shown that diet, sleep, as well as exercise can protect against some of the damage that old age can leave us vulnerable to. The next stage in this particular area of research is to work out how strength training helps nerves and muscles to stay together. Casper Sodenbro, PhD, closed by saying, now we need to determine which specific mechanisms cause weight training to strengthen the connection to the nervous system. To do that, we need to introduce different methods, though our goal continues to be to make sure as many senior citizens as possible not only live longer, but also experience well-being. Now, although this study focused on the association between motor neurons, nerves, and muscle fibers, resistance training should be part of everyone's exercise regime. Sarcopenia, also known as age-related muscle loss, is a common condition that affects 10% of adults who are over the age of 50. According to the National Council on Aging, there are, in America, 27,000 deaths a year from this age-related disease. For adults in their 40s, sarcopenia is hardly noticeable. Only about 3% of muscle mass is lost each decade. However, for those aged 65 and above, muscle decline can become far more rapid, with an average loss of 1% of muscle mass every single year. Now, when it comes to sarcopenia and fighting off age-related muscle loss, just half an hour of moderate exercise every day, like jogging or even brisk walking, will help keep our systems working and fit. These numbers from a 2010 study, and there's a link in the description below, are quite sobering. A recent meta-analysis revealed that following a hip fracture, women were 4 times more likely to die within the first 3 months of a fall and a hip fracture, whereas men, on the other hand, were 8 times more likely to die within the first 3 months of a fall and hip fracture. This was when compared with age and sex matched control groups. So I hope you found that interesting or informative, hopefully both. I made a few notes that I'm just going to refer to, as I usually do. So this study shows a clear link between resistance training or weight training and strengthening the connections between our motor neurons, our nerves and our muscles. And one of the cries I often hear when I talk to people who are around my age who find out I train 3 or 4 times a week is that their mind is willing, but their body isn't able. So this study shows that there's obviously a way of recharging your motor neurons so that your body does what your mind actually wants. And as I've said before, it's not really about motivation, it's about attitude. You don't have to get up and do a massive session in the gym for 40 minutes straight off. You can start with 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes next week and 15 minutes the week after. It's about gradual progression. As Tom Stubbs, the CEO of Chronomics, and David Sinclair has often said, about 20% of your longevity is down to genetics. The other 80% of longevity and health span is down to epigenetics. It's what you do with regard to your lifestyle. So, as I said, you don't have to go to the gym 30 or 40 minutes per day. It can just be a 2-minute walk today, a 5-minute walk the day after, and maybe building up to half an hour in about 3 or 6 months, and so on and so on. Simple case of rinse and repeat.